Let me share with you a fundamental truth that many find difficult to grasp. Every power you've been seeking outside yourself has always resided within you. Every change you've tried to create through external means can only truly come from within. You are the power you seek. Many of you have been searching in endless places for what has always been within you. You've looked to other people, to circumstances, to conditions, to external powers, never realizing that you yourself are the very power you seek. The kingdom of heaven is within you, and this kingdom contains all power. Consider this: every great transformation in human history began in the consciousness of one individual who recognized their inner power. Every magnificent achievement, every profound change, every remarkable manifestation started not in the external world, but in the inner world of imagination and consciousness. When you truly grasp this principle, something remarkable happens to your entire approach to life. You stop seeking power outside yourself. You stop trying to change external conditions. You begin to recognize that all change must first occur within your own consciousness. Let me tell you something vital about this inner power. It's not something you need to develop or acquire. It's not something you need to earn or deserve. It's your natural state of being. You were born with all the power you will ever need. The only question is whether you will recognize and use it. Here's a profound truth about this power within you. It's not affected by external conditions. It doesn't depend on circumstances. It doesn't require permission or validation from others. It is the very essence of your being, waiting to be recognized and expressed. Think about this. Every time you've tried to change something in your external world without first changing your consciousness, you've been looking in the wrong place. You've been trying to alter effects while ignoring the cause. All cause is consciousness, all else is effect. This principle of consciousness as cause is the foundation of all genuine transformation. Until you grasp this fully, you'll continue looking in the wrong place for the power to change your life. Let me share with you what's actually happening when you try to change things in the external world. While you're manipulating effects, struggling with conditions, fighting against circumstances, you're completely ignoring the one and only power that can actually create change, your own consciousness. Many of you have been taught to believe that external conditions have power over you. But I tell you this, conditions have only the power you give them through your consciousness. The moment you withdraw power from external conditions and recognize it within yourself, everything begins to change. Consider this: every condition in your life right now is nothing more than your consciousness pushed out. Your relationships, your financial situation, your health, your success or lack of it. All of these are merely reflecting what you've accepted as true in consciousness. When you truly understand this principle, something remarkable happens to your entire approach to change. You stop trying to manipulate effects and start focusing on the only place where real change is possible, within your own consciousness. Let me tell you something crucial about this inner power. It doesn't respond to wishes, hopes, or desperate wanting. It responds only to what you accept as true in consciousness. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else is merely an effect, a shadow of what you've accepted as real. Here's a profound truth about your consciousness. It is right now creating your future experiences. The thoughts you're thinking, the assumptions you're making, the beliefs you're holding, all of these are shaping your tomorrow with the precision of a mathematical formula. Think about this. If you continue to accept your current beliefs and assumptions as true, you'll continue to experience their reflection in your world. Real change can only begin when you change what you're accepting as true in consciousness. The very fact that you're hearing these words now is evidence that you're ready to stop looking outside yourself for power. Your deeper self has brought you to this understanding because you're prepared to recognize and use the power that has always been within you. This recognition and use of your inner power requires a complete reversal of everything you've been taught about cause and effect. You must stop seeing the world as the cause of your experience and recognize it as the effect of your consciousness. Let me share with you what happens when you truly recognize this power within you. First, all blame ceases. All victimhood dissolves. All excuses disappear. You can no longer point to external conditions as the cause of your experience because you recognize that they are merely reflecting your own consciousness. Many of you say you want change while continuing to give power to external conditions. But I tell you this, as long as you believe that anything outside yourself has power over you, you're looking in the wrong place. The power to change any condition lies solely in your consciousness. Consider this every time you say, I can't. Because every time you point to external conditions as reasons for your limitations, every time you blame circumstances for your situation, you're giving away your power. You're looking for power where it cannot be found, outside yourself. When you truly grasp this principle, something remarkable happens to your entire experience of life. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start recognizing yourself as the creator of your experience. You stop trying to change things out there and start changing your consciousness in here. Let me tell you something vital about this inner power. It works with absolute precision. It doesn't make mistakes. It doesn't play favorites. It simply materializes whatever you accept as true in consciousness. Your world is nothing more than your consciousness objectified. Here's a profound truth about your inner power. It's working right now, in this very moment. Even as you hear these words, your consciousness is creating your future experiences. The question is not whether this power is working, but what are you allowing it to create? I think about this. Every condition you now experience, whether wanted or unwanted, was created by this same power within you. The only difference between what you want and what you don't want is what you've accepted as true in consciousness. The very circumstances you've been fighting against were created by your own consciousness. Not consciously, not intentionally, but through your unconscious assumptions and beliefs about what's possible or true for you. These unconscious assumptions and beliefs are the hidden architects of your experience. While you've been looking outside yourself for the power to change, these inner assumptions have been silently shaping every aspect of your life. Let me share with you what's actually happening beneath the surface of your conscious mind. Every moment of every day, your unconscious assumptions are actively creating your experience. They're determining what you'll attract, what you'll repel, what you'll achieve, what you'll fail at, all without your conscious awareness. Many of you try to create change through conscious effort while maintaining unconscious assumptions that contradict your desires. But I tell you this, your unconscious assumptions will always override your conscious wishes. The power lies not in what you want, but in what you unconsciously assume to be true. Consider this: if you consciously desire wealth while unconsciously assuming that money is hard to come by, which assumption do you think your inner power will manifest? If you consciously want love while unconsciously assuming you're unworthy, which belief will your experience reflect? When you truly understand this principle, something remarkable happens to your approach to change. You stop focusing solely on conscious desires and start examining the unconscious assumptions that have been really running your life. Let me tell you something crucial about these unconscious assumptions. They weren't chosen by you. They were absorbed from your environment, accepted without question, integrated into your consciousness before you were old enough to examine them critically. Here's a profound truth about your unconscious assumptions. They can be changed. Just as they were once accepted into consciousness, they can be revised, replaced, or completely dissolved through the power of your wonderful human imagination. Think about this. Every limitation you now experience, every obstacle you face, every problem that seems to resist solution, is nothing more than unconscious assumption manifesting in your world. Change the assumption and you must change the manifestation. The very fact that you're struggling with certain conditions is evidence that you're maintaining unconscious assumptions that support those conditions. Your inner power is working perfectly. It's giving you exactly what you've assumed to be true. This process of changing your unconscious assumptions is the true work of transformation. It's not about trying harder in the outer world. It's about revising what you've accepted as truth in your inner world. Let me share with you how these unconscious assumptions actually change. It's not through force or struggle. It's not through positive thinking or affirmations. It's through the deliberate use of your imagination while in a state akin to sleep, that drowsy, dreamy state where your conscious mind relaxes grip on reality. Many of you try to change your assumptions through sheer willpower while remaining fully awake and analytical. But I tell you this, the subconscious mind cannot be commanded through force. It can only be persuaded through the language it understands, the language of feeling and imagination. Consider this: every assumption you now hold was initially accepted in a state of unquestioning receptivity. You weren't analyzing or arguing when you first absorbed your current assumptions. You were simply accepting, feeling, experiencing. This same state of receptivity is required to change them. When you truly grasp this principle, something remarkable happens to your practice of transformation. You stop trying to force change through conscious effort and start using your imagination in a state of relaxed receptivity to impress new assumptions upon your subconscious mind. Let me tell you something vital about this process. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between what you're vividly imagining and what you're actually experiencing. When you imagine a state akin to sleep, feeling the reality of your desired state, your subconscious accepts it as fact. Here's a profound truth about changing assumptions. It happens not through repetition, but through the intensity of feeling. One deeply felt imaginal act, experienced in a state of complete acceptance, can do more to change your assumptions than years of conscious affirmations. Think about this: every night when you fall asleep, you enter naturally into the perfect state for changing your assumptions. This drowsy state between waking and sleeping is your workshop, where you can impress new patterns upon your subconscious mind with the least resistance. The very sleep that you've been using merely for rest is actually your greatest opportunity for transformation. In that state of relaxed consciousness, you have direct access to the power that shapes your entire experience of life. This drowsy state, this twilight zone between waking and sleeping, is your workshop for transformation. It's here that you can most effectively plant the seeds of new assumptions that will reshape your entire world. Let me share with you exactly what happens when you enter this state with purpose. As your conscious mind begins to slow down, as your analytical thinking subsides, you enter a state where your subconscious mind becomes incredibly receptive to new impressions. This is the state where real change begins. Many of you rush through your days and collapse into unconscious sleep at night, never realizing that you're missing the most powerful opportunity for transformation. But I tell you this: those few moments before sleep, when properly used, can do more to change your life than all your daytime efforts combined. Consider this: every great mystic, every spiritual teacher who understood the laws of mind emphasized the importance of the state akin to sleep. They knew that in this state, the conscious mind's resistance is lowered, and new assumptions can be planted directly into the subconscious. When you truly understand this principle, something remarkable happens to your entire approach to sleep. You stop seeing bedtime as merely the end of your day and start recognizing it as the beginning of your transformation. You begin to use those precious moments before sleep deliberately and purposefully. Let me tell you something crucial about this state. It's not about forcing yourself to stay awake or struggling to maintain consciousness. It's about gently using those natural moments of drowsiness to impress your desired assumptions upon your subconscious mind. Here's a profound truth about this process: your last 5 minutes before sleep are worth more than all your daily affirmations combined. What you impress upon your subconscious mind in those moments will work night and day to reshape your experience. Think about this: while you sleep, your subconscious mind continues to work with whatever assumption you impressed upon it before sleep. It doesn't question, it doesn't argue. It simply accepts and begins to materialize what you've impressed upon it as true. The very sleep that most people use to escape their problems can become your most powerful tool for solving them. When you use the moments before sleep to impress new assumptions upon your subconscious mind, you're literally programming tomorrow's experiences. This programming of your subconscious mind is not what most people think it is. It's not about repeating words or forcing yourself to believe something. It's about feeling the reality of your desired state as you drift into sleep. Let me share with you exactly how this programming works. As you lie in bed, allowing yourself to drift towards sleep, you begin to feel the reality of your desire fulfilled. You're not thinking about it, you're not affirming it, you're experiencing it as if it were already true. Many of you try to program your subconscious mind through force or repetition. But I tell you this: the subconscious mind responds not to words but to feelings, not to wishes but to assumptions of reality. It accepts whatever you feel to be true in that drowsy state. Consider this: when you dream at night, you don't question the reality of your dream while you're in it. You simply experience it as real. This same unquestioning acceptance is what you must achieve with your conscious imagining as you drift into sleep. When you truly grasp this principle, something remarkable happens to your nightly practice. You stop trying to convince yourself of anything and simply allow yourself to feel the naturalness of your desire fulfilled. You experience it as if it were already a fact in your world. Let me tell you something vital about this process. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what you're vividly imagining and what you're actually experiencing. When you feel the reality of your desire as you drift into sleep, your subconscious accepts it as a present fact. Here's a profound truth about programming your subconscious. It's not about the length of time you spend, but the depth of feeling you achieve. One moment of complete acceptance in that drowsy state is worth more than hours of conscious affirmation. Think about this. Every night, as you fall asleep, you're programming your subconscious mind whether you realize it or not. If you fall asleep feeling worried, you're programming worry. If you fall asleep feeling grateful, you're programming gratitude. Whatever you feel as real while falling asleep becomes the seed of tomorrow's manifestation. The very state that most people waste in unconscious worry or random thoughts can become your most powerful tool for conscious creation. When you use those precious moments before sleep to feel the reality of your desire fulfilled, you're literally shaping your future while you sleep. This conscious creation while you sleep is the most natural and effortless way to transform your life. You don't need to struggle or strain. You simply need to master the art of falling asleep in the assumption of your wish fulfilled. Let me share with you what actually happens when you fall asleep feeling the reality of your desire fulfilled. Your subconscious mind takes that feeling, that assumption of completion, and works all night long to bring about the conditions necessary for its manifestation in your physical world. Many of you wake up each morning wondering what the day will bring. But I tell you this, what your day brings was determined by how you fell asleep the night before. The assumptions you took with you into sleep are already working to materialize themselves in your experience. Consider this: every morning when you wake up, your world is slightly different from the one you left when you went to sleep. These subtle changes are the result of what you impressed upon your subconscious mind as you drifted off to sleep. Your morning begins with the harvest of your evening's planting. When you truly understand this principle, something remarkable happens to your entire approach to sleep. You start treating those moments before sleep as sacred, as your most precious opportunity for creation. You become selective about what you allow into your consciousness as you prepare for sleep. Let me tell you something crucial about this nighttime creation. It requires no effort on your part once you've impressed your desire upon your subconscious mind. While you sleep, all the power of your subconsciousness works to bring about what you've accepted as true. Here's a profound truth about sleeping in the assumption of the wish fulfilled. It bypasses all the resistance and doubts of your conscious mind. In that drowsy state, when your analytical mind is quiet, you can impress new patterns upon your subconscious with remarkable ease. Think about this: every great invention, every solution to a complex problem, every creative breakthrough often comes after a night's sleep. This is because the subconscious mind, working with what you've impressed upon it, continues to solve problems and create solutions while you sleep. The very sleep that most people see as merely a time of rest is actually your greatest opportunity for conscious creation. When you fall asleep feeling the reality of your desire fulfilled, you set in motion forces that work tirelessly to bring about its manifestation. These forces set in motion during sleep are far more powerful and far-reaching than anything you could accomplish through conscious effort during your waking hours. They work on levels beyond your conscious understanding to rearrange the entire pattern of your life. Let me share with you exactly what happens when these forces are activated by your assumption of the wish fulfilled. While you sleep, your subconscious mind, which is one with the universal creative force, begins to rearrange circumstances, inspire actions, and draw to you everything necessary for the fulfillment of what you've accepted as true. Many of you try to figure out how your desires will be fulfilled, trying to plan and manipulate external circumstances. But I tell you this, the way will be found by forces far wiser than your conscious reasoning mind. Your only task is to fall asleep in the assumption that what you desire is already fact. Consider this, when you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to see how it's growing. You don't try to figure out how it will become a flower or a tree. You simply plant it and let nature take its course. The same principle applies to the seeds you plant in consciousness before sleep. When you truly grasp this principle, something remarkable happens to your entire approach to manifestation. You stop trying to make things happen and start allowing them to happen. You stop planning the way and start trusting the wisdom of your subconscious mind to find the way. Let me tell you something vital about these creative forces. They work according to a law that never fails. Just as a seed must grow according to its nature, what you impress upon your subconscious mind must manifest according to its nature. The law is infallible. Here's a profound truth about the forces set in motion during sleep. They operate independently of your conscious beliefs or doubts. Once you've impressed your desire upon your subconscious mind, these forces begin their work whether you believe they will or not. Think about this. Every morning when you wake up, events have already been set in motion based on what you impressed upon your subconscious mind the night before. People are being moved, circumstances are being arranged, opportunities are being created, all without your conscious effort. The very sleep that most people see as an escape from their problems is actually the time when solutions are being created, paths are being cleared, and bridges are being built to bring about what you've accepted as true in consciousness. These solutions and paths are created through a wisdom far greater than your conscious reasoning mind. It's the infinite intelligence of your subconscious mind, which knows exactly how to bring about the conditions necessary for the fulfillment of your desire. Let me share with you what's actually happening when this infinite intelligence goes to work. While you sleep, it begins to influence every person, every circumstance, every condition necessary for the fulfillment of what you've impressed upon it. It knows every possible path to your desire's fulfillment and chooses the most efficient one. Many of you worry about the how of your desire's fulfillment, trying to figure out every step and detail. But I tell you this, the way will be found by a power that sees all and knows all. Your conscious mind, with its limited understanding, cannot comprehend the infinite ways in which your desire can be fulfilled. Consider this, when you send a letter, you don't concern yourself with how it will reach its destination. You don't worry about which postal workers will handle it, which trucks will carry it, which routes it will take. You simply address it and trust in a system that knows how to deliver it. When you truly understand this principle, something remarkable happens to your entire approach to manifestation. You stop trying to plan every detail and start trusting in the infinite intelligence that knows exactly how to bring about your desire's fulfillment. Let me tell you something crucial about this infinite intelligence. It doesn't need your help or guidance. It doesn't need your suggestions or advice. It simply needs your assumption that what you desire is already fact, and it will find the most natural way to bring it about. Here's a profound truth about how these solutions are created. They often come in ways you could never have consciously imagined. The path to your desire's fulfillment might be completely different from what you expected, but it will always be the most efficient and natural way. Think about this. Every great achievement in human history came about through this same process. The conscious mind held a desire, impressed it upon the subconscious, and the infinite intelligence found a way to bring it into manifestation. The same power that has fulfilled countless desires throughout history is available to you right now. The very intelligence that keeps your heart beating, your lungs breathing, and your body functioning without conscious attention is the same intelligence that knows exactly how to fulfill your desires. All it needs is your assumption of the end result as fact. Tonight I leave you with this final truth. You've been looking in the wrong place, because the power to change has always been within you. It's not in external conditions, not in other people, not in circumstances, but in your own consciousness. Remember, every night as you drift off to sleep, you have a divine appointment with your own infinite power. Use those precious moments wisely. Don't waste them in idle thinking or worried contemplation. Fall asleep feeling the reality of your desire fulfilled, knowing that while you sleep, forces beyond your comprehension are working to bring about its manifestation. The very fact that you've heard these words tonight is evidence that you're ready to stop looking outside yourself for power. You're prepared to recognize and use the infinite power that has always resided within you. Your own wonderful human imagination, properly used in that drowsy state before sleep, is all the power you need to transform your entire world. Go forth now with this knowledge, and tonight, as you prepare for sleep, remember you are entering your workshop of creation. Feel the naturalness, the reality, the tangible presence of your desire fulfilled. Fall asleep in this assumption, and let the infinite intelligence of your subconscious mind do its perfect work. For I tell you this with absolute certainty, the power you've been seeking has always been within you. You've simply been looking in the wrong place. Now you know where to find it and how to use it. Use it wisely, use it lovingly, and watch your world transform in ways your conscious mind could never have planned. That is the law and the promise that it cannot fail. The Bible, which I have always maintained, is not a historical document, but a psychological drama, tells us in Proverbs, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. What is this heart that we must guard so carefully? It is not the physical organ pumping blood through your veins, but the center of your being, your consciousness, your awareness, your I am. When you focus on yourself, you are turning to the only creative power in your world. You are acknowledging that what you are conscious of being, you will express in your outer world. This is the fundamental law of manifestation that has been taught in veiled language throughout all sacred texts. Do you not know that the kingdom of heaven is within you? That you need not look to external circumstances, to other people, or to future events for your good. All that you seek is already present within your consciousness, awaiting your recognition and acceptance. The world may tell you to focus outwardly, to study the actions of others, to compete, to strive, to force changes in your environment. But I tell you that such effort is unnecessary when you understand the law of consciousness. For when you change your inner state, your outer world must conform to that change. It has no choice, for it is only the shadow of your inner reality. And what of this silence that I urge you to maintain? It is not merely the absence of speech, though that is indeed part of it. The silence I speak of is a profound inner quietude, a refusal to contradict in thought, word, or deed the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. In the book of Exodus, we find these words, the Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. This is the true meaning of staying silent. It is allowing the law, your own wonderful human imagination, to do its perfect work without interference from your doubting, reasoning mind. How many times have you planted a seed of desire in your consciousness only to dig it up repeatedly with your doubts and fears? How often have you declared that a thing is so, only to contradict it moments later with anxious thoughts? This is the very opposite of maintaining silence. The silence I advocate is a complete mental acceptance that what you have imagined is now reality in the spiritual realm, and therefore must inevitably materialize in your experience. It is a calm knowing, a peaceful certainty that needs no outer confirmation. Let me share with you a simple technique that has helped countless individuals to focus on themselves and maintain this creative silence. When you retire at night, lie flat on your back with your head upon a pillow. Close your eyes and completely relax your body. Now bring your attention to your breathing, not to control it, but simply to observe its natural rhythm. As your body relaxes and your mind begins to quiet, turn your attention inward. Become aware of yourself as pure consciousness, as the observer, not the things observed. Feel the reality of your own existence apart from all conditions and circumstances. Now, from this state of self-awareness, begin to imagine a scene that would imply the fulfillment of your desire. See it clearly, feel it to be real, and allow yourself to become emotionally involved in this imaginal act. Feel the joy, the relief, the satisfaction of having already attained what you seek. This is focusing on yourself, on your own creative consciousness. And as you fall asleep in this state, you are maintaining the silence that allows the seed to take root in the soil of your subconscious mind. Do not wake in the morning and immediately begin to question whether your imaginal act was effective. Do not look to your external world for immediate signs of change. Instead, maintain your silence. Go about your day from the calm center of knowing that what you have imagined must come to pass, for that is the law. The Bible tells us, be still and know that I am God. This stillness, this silence is not inactivity. It is the most powerful form of action possible, for it aligns you with the creative forces of the universe itself. Consider the words of the psalmist, I said. I will take heed to my ways, that I sin not with my tongue. I will keep my mouth with a bridle, while the wicked is before me. I was dumb with silence. I held my peace even from good, and my sorrow was stirred. This passage beautifully illustrates the challenge and the power of maintaining silence. Even when confronted with conditions that seem to deny our desires while the wicked is before me, we must hold our peace. We must refuse to give voice to doubt, fear, or contradiction. Let me tell you of a lady who came to me in distress. Her husband had left her for another woman, and she was consumed with jealousy, anger, and a desperate need to take action to reclaim him. She asked what she should do. Should she confront the other woman? Should she beg her husband to return? Should she seek legal counsel? I told her to do nothing outwardly. Instead, I instructed her to focus on herself, on her own consciousness, and to create there the state of being happily married. Each night she was to fall asleep feeling the presence of her husband beside her, hearing his voice experiencing the comfort and security of their restored relationship. And above all, I urged her to maintain silence, not to speak to others of her problems, not to confront her husband or her mistress, not even to affirm verbally what she was creating in imagination, simply to know within herself that the marriage was restored in her consciousness and therefore must manifest in her experience. Within 1 month, her husband returned, the relationship with the other woman having dissolved of its own accord. No outer action was necessary. By focusing on herself, on her own creative consciousness, and by maintaining silence, she had allowed the law to operate without interference. This principle applies to every area of life. Are you seeking financial abundance? Do not focus on the outer conditions that seem to limit you. Do not speak constantly of lack or engage in anxious discussions about the economy. Instead, focus on yourself, on your consciousness, and establish there the feeling of wealth and security. Live from that state in your imagination and maintain silence as the outer world rearranges itself to match your inner assumption. Do you desire health? Then do not dwell upon the condition of your body or engage in endless conversations about symptoms and treatments. Focus instead on the feeling of being perfectly well. Establish that state within your consciousness and maintain silence as the creative law works through you to manifest physical harmony. I tell you that all things are possible to him who believes. And true belief is not merely an intellectual acceptance, but a state of consciousness, a feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you focus on yourself, on your I, and identify it with your desire, you have set in motion the law that must bring your desire to fruition. Some may misunderstand this teaching and consider it selfish or impractical. They may say, but Neville, we must take action in the world. We cannot simply sit and imagine. To them I would reply that I am not advocating inaction, but rather the most appropriate and effective action of consciousness. All outer actions, when they are not inspired by a changed consciousness, are merely futile attempts to bring about change through effort and will. But when action flows naturally from a transformed inner state, it is effortless and perfectly suited to the manifestation of your desire. I recall a gentleman who attended one of my lectures in New York. He approached me afterward and said, I understand what you're teaching, but I've been imagining financial success for months with no results. What am I doing wrong? Upon questioning him, I discovered that while he was indeed in imaginative scenes of wealth each night, during his days he was constantly speaking of his financial problems, checking his bank balance anxiously, and focusing on the gap between his desire and his current reality. I said to him, you are planting a seed with your imaginal act, but then you are daily digging it up to see if it has grown. You must maintain silence. You must stop contradicting your assumption of wealth with your words and actions. He took this advice to heart. He continued his nightly practice of imagining wealth, But he also began to focus on himself, on controlling his inner conversations and maintaining an attitude consistent with his desire. He ceased speaking of financial problems and even stopped checking his bank balance compulsively. Within 6 weeks, he received an unexpected business opportunity that eventually led to the financial abundance he had been seeking. The outer action accepting and developing the opportunity came naturally and effortlessly because it was inspired by his changed consciousness. The Bible states, "In returning and rest shall ye be saved, in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength." This is the true meaning of focusing on yourself and staying silent. It is returning to the center of your being, resting in the assumption that your desire is fulfilled, maintaining the quietness that allows the seed to grow undisturbed, and having complete confidence in the law of your own consciousness. Let us now explore another dimension of this practice. When you focus on yourself, you withdraw attention from the limitations of the outer world. You cease to be mesmerized by appearances, which are only shadows of past thoughts and beliefs. This withdrawal of attention is essential for the transformation of consciousness. As long as you are fixated on external conditions, accepting them as the ultimate reality, you cannot truly change those conditions, for what you focus on persists in your experience. By focusing instead on yourself, on the reality of your consciousness, you reclaim your creative power. The great spiritual directive, "Go within," is not merely a suggestion. It is the only way to fundamentally change your life. For all external circumstances are but reflections of internal states. Change the internal, and the external must change accordingly. This is why Jesus taught, "Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment." Righteous judgment is to see not with the outer eye of the senses, which reports only the effects of past causes, but with the inner eye of imagination, which sees what is desired as already accomplished. When you focus on yourself, you are focusing on the cause rather than the effect, on the source rather than the shadow. This is the essence of true spiritual practice. And what of the silence that must accompany this focus? It serves multiple purposes in the manifestation of your desires. First, silence prevents the dissipation of creative energy. When you speak prematurely of your desires or your imaginal acts, you often release the tension necessary for manifestation. It is like deflating a balloon before it has lifted you to your destination. I have observed that those who speak least of their ambitions are often those who accomplish them most impressively. They have intuitively grasped the power of silence, of holding their vision sacred and protected from the doubts and criticisms of others. Second, silence allows the subconscious mind to work unhindered. When you maintain outer silence about your desires and inner silence through the quieting of contrary thoughts, you create the ideal conditions for the manifestation of your imaginal acts. The subconscious accepts what the conscious mind impresses upon it, but this impression must be clear and consistent. By maintaining silence, refusing to contradict your assumption with either words or thoughts, you ensure that the impression remains undisturbed until it manifests in your outer world. Third, silence is an expression of absolute faith in the law. When you know that a thing is done in consciousness, you feel no need to speak of it anxiously or to seek constant reassurance. Your silence is a testament to your confidence that what you have assumed in imagination must objectify itself in your experience. This is the meaning of the biblical instruction, "But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly." The closet is your consciousness. The door that must be shut is the silence you maintain against all contradictory thoughts and words. And the Father who sees in secret is the law of your own being, which unfailingly brings forth the harvest of your mental sowing. Let me share with you another example from my own experience. Many years ago, I desired to travel to Barbados to visit my family, but I had no apparent means to make the journey. Rather than focusing on this limitation, I turned within, I focused on myself, on my consciousness, and I imagined stepping off the ship onto the soil of Barbados, being greeted by my family, feeling the warm tropical air on my skin. I performed this imaginal act night after night, and I maintained silence about it. I did not speak to others of my desire to travel when I had no visible means to do so. I did not allow myself to engage in anxious thoughts about how this journey would be accomplished. Within a matter of weeks, a series of seemingly unrelated events culminated in my receiving both the funds and the opportunity to make the journey exactly as I had imagined it. The outer action, booking the passage, boarding the ship, came naturally and effortlessly as a result of my inner action of consciousness. This is the pattern of manifestation that I have observed countless times, both in my own life and in the lives of those who have applied this teaching faithfully. The inner creates the outer. The focus on self-unconsciousness precedes and determines the conditions of objective experience. Now let us consider what typically prevents people from successfully focusing on themselves and maintaining silence. The primary obstacle is the tendency to be constantly drawn outward by the evidence of the senses. From childhood, we are taught to believe that what we can see, hear, and touch is more real than what we imagine. We are conditioned to accept the testimony of the outer world as the ultimate truth. And so when we attempt to focus on ourselves, on our consciousness, we are repeatedly pulled back to external reality by the sheer force of habit. This habit can be broken, but it requires determination and practice. It requires a willingness to question the evidence of the senses and to affirm the primacy of consciousness. It requires faith in the unseen reality of your own wonderful human imagination. The silence that I advocate is equally challenging for most people. In a world that values expression, communication, and constant sharing of thoughts and feelings, the discipline of silence can seem strange or even threatening. Many feel that by not speaking of their problems, they are somehow denying them or refusing to deal with them responsibly. Others fear that by not continually affirming their desires verbally, they might forget them or lose momentum toward their fulfillment. But I tell you that true silence, the silence that follows complete inner acceptance of your desire as fulfilled, is not denial or forgetfulness. It is the most powerful affirmation possible, for it stems from the confidence that what is done in consciousness is done indeed, and needs no further effort or assertion. This silence is not the gritting of teeth against adversity or the repression of genuine feelings. It is the natural quiet that descends when you know that your desire is already yours and the only reality that ultimately matters, the reality of consciousness. Consider the words attributed to Jesus. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. This is a perfect expression of the principle I am teaching you tonight. To focus on yourself is to enter the state of prayer, not as supplication, but as assumption. And to stay silent is to maintain the belief that you have already received, regardless of appearances to the contrary. Now, let me address a common misconception. Some may think that by focusing on yourself and staying silent, you are somehow withdrawing from life or avoiding responsibility. Nothing could be further from the truth. When you focus on yourself in the way I am describing, you are engaging with life at its causal level. You are taking full responsibility for your experience by acknowledging and exercising your role as the creator of your reality. And the silence I advocate is not an aloof detachment from the world, but rather a reverent recognition that the world is responding to your consciousness, not the other way around. It is the silence of mastery, not the silence of defeat or resignation. Let me offer you a practical discipline to develop your ability to focus on yourself and maintain silence. Each day, set aside a period of time. It need not be long. Even 15 minutes will suffice, during which you deliberately withdraw attention from the outer world and focus entirely on your consciousness. During this time, ignore the evidence of the senses. Release all concern with problems, conditions, or circumstances. Be fully present with your I am, your awareness of being. Feel the reality of your existence independent of all external factors. From this state of self-awareness, select a desire, something you wish to be, to do, or to have. Now, with the full focus of your attention, imagine this desire is already fulfilled. See it, feel it, accept it as done. As you emerge from this period of focused imagination, maintain silence about your practice. Do not speak of it to others. And do not allow your inner conversation to contradict what you have established in consciousness. If doubts arise, and they will, for all habits of thought are persistent, do not fight them directly. Instead, gently return your focus to the feeling of your desire fulfilled. Remember that what you focus on expands. So by focusing on the doubt, you only strengthen it. Focus instead on the assumed reality of your wish fulfilled. Practice this discipline daily, and you will gradually develop the capacity to focus on yourself, on your consciousness, rather than on external conditions. You will also strengthen your ability to maintain silence, to hold your vision sacred and protected until it manifests in your experience. This practice is the essence of what I have been teaching for many years, though I have expressed it in various ways and through different metaphors and examples. It is the art of changing your life by changing your consciousness. And it is based on the absolute law that consciousness is the only reality. The Bible, which I have always interpreted as a psychological rather than historical document, is filled with references to this practice. When properly understood, it is a manual for the mastery of consciousness and the manifestation of desire. For instance, consider the story of the Exodus. Egypt represents the bondage of belief in external conditions, while the Promised Land represents the freedom of knowing that consciousness is the only reality. The journey from one to the other is the process of shifting focus from the outer to the inner, from the effect to the cause. The 40 years in the wilderness represents the period of transition during which old beliefs die and new awareness is established. The various trials and tests along the way represent the challenges of maintaining focus on the inner reality when outer appearance is contradicted. And the command to be silent in various situations throughout the journey represents the necessity of not contradicting with our words or thoughts the assumption of already being in the Promised Land. This is your journey as well. You may currently be in Egypt bound by belief in the limitations of external reality. Through the practice of focusing on yourself and staying silent, you will journey to your own Promised Land, the fulfillment of your desires through the conscious exercise of your creative imagination. Let me share with you one more example that may clarify this principle further. A young man once came to me deeply concerned about his professional future. He had applied for a position that represented his dream job, but he had been told that there were hundreds of applicants, many far more qualified than he. Rather than focusing on these external circumstances, I advised him to focus on himself, on his consciousness. I suggested that he imagine being congratulated on securing the position, feeling the handshake of his new employer, hearing the words of welcome, experiencing the satisfaction and joy of having attained his desire. And I emphasized the importance of silence. He was not to speak to anyone about having used his imagination in this way. He was not to anxiously discuss his chances with friends or family. He was not even to allow his inner conversation to question the reality of what he had imagined. He followed this guidance faithfully, and within 2 weeks he received a call from the company. Despite the supposedly overwhelming competition, he was offered the position. The external action, the interview, the acceptance flowed naturally from his changed state of consciousness. This is the pattern you will observe in your own life as you practice focusing on yourself and staying silent. The outer circumstances, no matter how fixed they may appear, must yield to the power of your consciousness when you know the law and apply it faithfully. Now, as we approach the conclusion of our discussion, let me leave you with this thought. The practice I have described to you is not merely a technique for getting what you want, though it certainly is that. It is a way of aligning yourself with the fundamental reality of the universe, the reality that consciousness is primary, and that the world of the senses is its projection. When you focus on yourself, on your consciousness, and maintain silence until your assumption manifests, you are not only fulfilling your desires, you are fulfilling the very purpose of your existence, which is to experience and express the infinite creative power that is your true nature. You are here to create, to imagine, to assume, to transform not through struggle and effort, but through the wonderful human capacity to conceive and believe. And as you discover and exercise this power, you will find that life becomes not a series of problems to be solved, but a joyous journey of ever-expanding awareness and expression. The world is your consciousness objectified. Change your consciousness, and you change your world. This is the simple yet profound truth that has the power to transform every aspect of your experience. Remember the words of the prophet, be still and know that I am God. Be still, maintain silence. No, focus on the reality of your consciousness, that I am God. Acknowledge the divine creative power that is your true identity. This is the practice that will lead you from bondage to freedom, from limitation to fulfillment, from frustration to satisfaction. This is the art of focusing on yourself and staying silent. Tonight, as you retire to sleep, I urge you to put this teaching to the test. Select a desire, something that you genuinely wish to experience. As you lie in bed, relaxed and receptive, focus on yourself, on your I am, your awareness of being. Then, from this center of your being, imagine your desire is already fulfilled. Feel the reality of it. Accept it completely. Fall asleep in this state of conscious assumption and maintain silence about it. Do not speak of it prematurely, and do not allow your inner conversation to contradict it. Do this faithfully, persistently, and with full attention to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Then observe as the outer circumstances of your life begin to rearrange themselves to match your inner conviction. For this is the law. What you focus on in consciousness, with feeling and conviction, must objectify itself in your experience. It cannot fail, for consciousness is the only reality, and all things are possible to him who believes. Focus on yourself, on your consciousness. Stay silent until your assumption has become your experience. This is the way to the fulfillment of all your desires, the way to the life you truly wish to live. For when you know yourself as the creator of your reality, you have discovered the greatest secret of existence, and nothing can ever limit you again. In my Father's house are many mansions, many states of consciousness. By focusing on yourself, you choose the mansion, the state that you will occupy. And by maintaining silence, you allow that choice to become your dwelling place. The choice is yours now and always. Choose wisely and live in the joyous awareness of your creative power. The end of all seeking is to know yourself as the creator of your experience. The purpose of all teaching is to return you to the center of your being, where true power resides. And the reward of all practice is the freedom to be, to do, and to have whatever you can conceive and believe. Focus on yourself and stay silent. This is the key I offer you tonight, the key to the kingdom of your own unlimited potential. Use it faithfully and watch as the world transforms before your eyes. For in truth, there is no power outside of you. There is nothing to overcome, nothing to fight against, nothing to fear. There is only your consciousness, your awareness, your I am, and its infinite capacity to conceive, to believe, and to experience. Know this truth, and it will set you free. Practice this principle, and it will transform your life. Share this understanding through your example, and you will help to awaken others to their own divine creative power. This is my message to you tonight. Focus on yourself and stay silent. In these simple words lies the secret of fulfilled desire, the path to your highest good, and the realization of your true nature as the operant power in your world. Thank you for your attention, and may you go forward from this hour with the confident knowledge that all you desire is already yours in consciousness, awaiting only your recognition and acceptance to become your living experience. Before we delve into these rules, let us first understand the nature of attachment itself. In the world of Caesar, we are taught from an early age that our happiness, our very sense of self, is dependent on others. We are conditioned to believe that our worth is measured by the affection and approval of those around us. This, my dear friends, is the great illusion that keeps us bound to a life of limitation and suffering. But I say unto you, true freedom lies not in clinging to others, but in recognizing the divinity within yourself. For you are God made manifest, the very essence of creation expressing itself in human form. And in this realization lies the power to detach from all external sources of validation and love. Now, let us turn our attention to the first rule of emotional detachment. Recognize the I am within. This rule, my beloved listeners, is the foundation upon which all else is built. For until you truly understand and embody the I am presence within you, you will forever be at the mercy of external circumstances and relationships. The I am is not some distant, unknowable force. It is the very core of your being, the divine spark that animates your existence. It is the God within, the source of all creation, and the wellspring of infinite possibility. When you say I am, you are invoking the name of God, for did not the scriptures tell us, I am that I am? This is the name by which the divine identified itself to Moses, and it is the name by which you must identify yourself in every moment of your existence. To emotionally detach from someone, you must first attach yourself wholly and completely to the I am within. This is not a rejection of love or connection, but rather a recognition that all love, all connection, all fulfillment comes from within. Imagine, if you will, a beautiful oak tree. Its branches reach towards the heavens, its leaves dance in the sunlight. But what gives this tree its strength, its very life? Is it not the roots hidden beneath the earth, drawing nourishment from the soil? So too must you be rooted in the I am, drawing your strength and sustenance not from the fleeting affections of others, but from the eternal wellspring of divinity within. Practice this, my dear friends. In every moment of your day, affirm the I am. Say to yourself, I am love. I am peace. I am fulfillment. Feel the power of these words resonating through every cell of your being. For in doing so, you are aligning yourself with the creative force of the universe. As you strengthen your connection to the I am, you will find that your need for emotional validation from others begins to diminish. Like a candle whose flame grows ever brighter, you will become a source of light unto yourself and others. But remember, this is not a practice of isolation or disconnection. Rather, it is the foundation for true, unconditional love. For when you are firmly rooted in the I am, you can extend love to others without expectation or attachment. You become a channel for divine love, allowing it to flow through you freely, unobstructed by fear or need. Now let us move on to the second rule of emotional detachment, live in the end. This rule, my dear listeners, is the very essence of creation. For what you experience in your physical reality is but a shadow, a reflection of what you have already accepted as true in your imagination. To emotionally detach from someone, you must live in the end of complete emotional freedom and self-sufficiency. You must see yourself in your mind's eye as one who is whole, complete and fulfilled, independent of any external relationship or circumstance. Close your eyes for a moment, if you will, and imagine yourself standing tall, radiating confidence and inner peace. See yourself moving through your day with grace and ease, unaffected by the opinions or actions of others. Feel the joy and contentment that comes from knowing that you are the source of your own happiness. This, my friends, is living in the end. It is not a denial of your current circumstances, but rather a recognition of the power of your imagination to shape your reality. For as you persist in this vision of emotional freedom, you will find that your outer world begins to conform to this inner truth. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. What you hold as true in your imagination must, by the very laws of creation, manifest in your experience. Therefore, if you continue to imagine yourself as emotionally dependent on another, you will continue to experience that dependency in your life. But if you dare to imagine yourself as emotionally free, as one who is complete unto themselves, then that is what you shall become. The person from whom you wish to detach will either fall away naturally from your life, or your relationship with them will transform into one of mutual respect and freedom. Practice this living in the end daily. Before you sleep at night and as you wake in the morning, spend a few moments in quiet contemplation, experiencing the feeling of being emotionally detached and self-sufficient. Feel the relief, the lightness, the joy that comes with this state of being. As you persist in this practice, you will find that your emotional reactions to the person begin to change. Where once there was attachment and need, there will be understanding and compassion. Where once there was fear of loss, there will be an unshakable knowing of your own completeness. Now let us explore the third rule of emotional detachment. Assume the state of the wish fulfilled. This rule, my dear friends, is closely related to living in the end, but it goes a step further. It asks you not only to imagine the end state, but to fully assume it as your current reality. This is the art of what I call thinking from the end rather than thinking of the end. To emotionally detach from someone, you must assume the state of one who is already detached. This is not a matter of pretending or forcing yourself to feel a certain way. Rather, it is about stepping into a new state of consciousness, a new self-concept. Imagine, if you will, that you are an actor on a stage. Up until now, you have been playing the role of someone emotionally attached and dependent. But now you are given a new role, that of someone who is emotionally free and self-sufficient. Your task is to fully embody this new character, to think, feel, and act as they would. How would this emotionally detached version of yourself move through the world? How would they speak? How would they react to situations? How would they feel about themselves and others? Assume these qualities fully, not as something to be achieved in the future, but as your present reality. This assumption of the wish fulfilled is not about denial or suppression of your current feelings. It is about shifting your focus and your energy to a new state of being. It is about choosing moment by moment to align yourself with the version of you that is already emotionally detached. As you assume this state, you may find that your thoughts and feelings towards the person begin to shift naturally. Where once there was a constant preoccupation with their actions and reactions, there is now a calm indifference. Where once there was a need for their approval or affection, there is now a deep sense of self-approval and self-love. Remember, my dear listeners, that your assumption, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Therefore, guard your assumptions carefully. Do not allow yourself to slip back into the old state of attachment. If you find your thoughts drifting towards dependency or need, gently but firmly bring them back to the state of the wish fulfilled. This practice may feel challenging at first, especially if you have been in a state of emotional attachment for a long time. But I assure you, with persistence and faith, it will become more natural. For you are not creating a new reality, but simply aligning yourself with the truth of your being, a being that is whole, complete, and free. As you continue to assume the state of emotional detachment, you will find that your interactions with the person begin to change. You may notice that you no longer react to their words or actions with the same intensity. You may find that you can engage with them from a place of calm neutrality, free from the need to control or change them. This, my friends, is the power of assumption. It is the key to not only emotional detachment, but to all creation. For as you assume, so shall it be done unto you. Now let us turn our attention to the fourth rule of emotional detachment. Release all resistance. This rule, my beloved listeners, may seem paradoxical at first, for in your desire to detach, you may find yourself resisting the very feelings and thoughts you wish to release. But I say unto you, what you resist persists. The key to true detachment lies not in fighting against your attachment, but in releasing all resistance to what is. Consider, if you will, the nature of a river. It flows effortlessly towards the sea, not by pushing against the rocks in its path, but by flowing around them. So too must you learn to flow around the obstacles of attachment, rather than struggling against them. Resistance often manifests as judgment of yourself for feeling attached, judgment of the other person for their actions, judgment of the situation itself. But judgment, my dear friends, is the antithesis of detachment. It keeps you bound to the very thing you wish to release. Instead, practice acceptance. Accept your feelings of attachment without condemnation. Accept the other person exactly as they are, without trying to change them. Accept the situation as it is, without wishing it were different. This acceptance is not resignation or passivity. It is not about liking or approving of everything. Rather, it is about acknowledging what is without adding the extra layer of emotional resistance. It is about saying yes to the present moment, even as you work towards creating a different future. As you release resistance, you may find that many of the painful emotions associated with attachment begin to dissolve naturally. For it is not the attachment itself that causes suffering, but your resistance to it. When you cease to fight against what is, you open yourself to the flow of life, allowing transformation to occur effortlessly. Practice this release of resistance in every moment. When you notice yourself tensing up emotionally, whether in thought of the person or in their presence, consciously relax. Let go of the need to control the situation or the other person's behavior. Allow yourself to simply be without judgment or expectation. This practice of non-resistance extends to your thoughts as well. When thoughts of attachment arise, do not try to push them away or replace them with positive thoughts. Instead, observe them with detached awareness. Watch them arise and pass away like clouds in the sky without getting caught up in their story. As you cultivate this attitude of non-resistance, you will find that your emotional energy begins to shift. The intensity of your attachment will begin to dissolve, not through force or willpower, but through the gentle power of acceptance and allowing. Remember, my dear friends, that emotional detachment is not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It is about freeing yourself from the compulsive need for external validation and control. It is about creating space for true love to flourish, love that is given freely without expectation or attachment. Now let us explore the fifth and final rule of emotional detachment: cultivate inner stillness. This rule, my beloved listeners, is the culmination of all that we have discussed, for it is in the depths of inner stillness that true detachment is realized. Not as a concept or a practice, but as your very nature. Inner stillness is not the absence of thought or emotion. It is the presence of awareness, pure, unbounded, and eternally free. It is the discovery of your true self, beyond all attachments and identifications. To cultivate inner stillness, you must learn to step back from the constant chatter of your mind. You must create space between your thoughts, between your breaths, between your heartbeats. In this space lies the key to emotional freedom. Begin by setting aside time each day for quiet contemplation. Find a comfortable place where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and turn your attention inward. Focus on your breath, feeling the gentle rise and fall of your chest. As thoughts arise, and they will, for that is the nature of the mind, simply observe them without judgment. Do not try to stop your thoughts or change them. Instead, watch them come and go, like waves on the ocean of your consciousness. As you continue this practice, you may begin to notice moments of profound stillness, moments when the chatter of your mind subsides and you are left with a deep sense of peace and presence. These moments, however brief, are glimpses of your true nature, the unchanging awareness that underlies all experience. From this place of inner stillness, emotional detachment arises naturally. For in the depths of your being, you recognize that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your attachments. You are the awareness in which all these arise and pass away. As you cultivate this inner stillness, you will find that your emotional reactions begin to lose their grip. The person from whom you wish to detach no longer has the power to disturb your peace. Their words and actions may still create ripples on the surface of your mind, but they cannot touch the depths of your being. This inner stillness becomes your refuge, a place of peace and clarity to which you can return at any moment. When you feel yourself becoming entangled in attachment or emotional reactivity, simply take a deep breath and reconnect with this still center within you. From this place of stillness, you can engage with the world and with the person from whom you're detaching with grace and equanimity. You can love without attachment, care without dependency, and relate without losing yourself. Remember, my dear friends, that this inner stillness is not something you need to create or achieve. It is already present within you, waiting to be recognized. Your task is simply to remove the obstacles, the mental and emotional noise that obscure its presence. As you practice these 5 rules, recognizing the I am within, living in the end, assuming the state of the wish fulfilled, releasing all resistance, and cultivating inner stillness, you will find that emotional detachment becomes not just a goal to be achieved, but a natural expression of your true self. Now, my beloved listeners, I want you to understand that this journey of emotional detachment is not a linear process. It is not something that happens overnight or in a steady, predictable progression. Rather, it is a dance, a beautiful, sometimes challenging dance between your habitual patterns of attachment and your growing awareness of your true, detached nature. There will be moments of profound clarity and freedom, where you feel completely detached and at peace. Cherish these moments, for they are glimpses of your true potential. But do not become attached to them, for attachment to detachment is still attachment. There will also be moments when you feel as though you've slipped back into old patterns of emotional dependency. Do not judge yourself for these moments. They are not failures, but opportunities for deeper understanding and growth. Each time you notice yourself becoming entangled in attachment, it is an invitation to practice these principles anew. Remember, emotional detachment is not about suppressing your feelings or becoming indifferent to others. It is about freeing yourself from the compulsive need for external validation and control. It is about creating space for true love to flourish, love that is given freely without expectation or attachment. As you continue on this journey, you may find that your relationship with the person from whom you're detaching begins to transform. Without the weight of your emotional expectations and needs, they may feel freer to be themselves. You may discover a new kind of relationship emerging, one based on mutual respect and genuine care rather than dependency and fear. Or you may find that as you detach emotionally, the relationship naturally falls away. For relationships built solely on attachment and need cannot survive in the light of true emotional freedom. Trust in this process, for it is the natural unfolding of your alignment with your true self. Throughout this journey, be gentle with yourself. Emotional detachment is not about forcing yourself to feel or not feel certain things. It is about allowing yourself to be exactly as you are in each moment, while holding the vision of your emotionally free self. Practice self-compassion as you navigate this path. When you notice yourself slipping into old patterns of attachment, rather than berating yourself, offer yourself the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend. Speak to yourself with words of encouragement and love. Remember also to celebrate your progress, no matter how small it may seem. Each moment of awareness, each choice to align with your detached self is a victory. Acknowledge these moments, for they are the building blocks of your transformation. As you move through your days practicing these 5 rules of emotional detachment, you may begin to notice changes not just in your relationship with the specific person you're detaching from, but in all your relationships and interactions. You may find yourself becoming less reactive in general, less easily swayed by the opinions and actions of others. You may discover a new sense of inner peace and stability that remains constant regardless of external circumstances. This, my dear friends, is the true gift of emotional detachment. It is not just about freeing yourself from one specific attachment, but about realizing your inherent freedom in all situations. As you continue to practice, you may find that the very concept of detachment begins to shift. What once seemed like a goal to be achieved becomes simply your natural state of being. You realize that you were never truly attached in the first place. That attachment was merely a story you were telling yourself. In this realization lies true freedom. For when you know yourself as the unchanging awareness beneath all thoughts and emotions, what is there to attach to or detach from? You are already complete, already whole, already free. From this place of inner freedom, you can engage fully with life without becoming entangled. You can love deeply without losing yourself. You can care profoundly without being controlled by your caring. This, my beloved listeners, is the promise of emotional detachment. It is not a dry intellectual concept, but a living reality that you can embody in every moment of your existence. As we near the end of our exploration, I want to remind you that the power to emotionally detach lies entirely within you. It is not dependent on the actions or reactions of others. It does not require the cooperation or understanding of the person from whom you're detaching. It is a choice that you make moment by moment to align with your true free nature. In every interaction, in every thought of the person, you have the opportunity to practice these principles. Each moment is a new beginning, a fresh chance to choose detachment over attachment, freedom over dependency. Remember, the world around you is a reflection of your inner state. As you cultivate emotional detachment within yourself, you will find that your outer world begins to mirror this inner freedom. Relationships that were once sources of pain and struggle may transform into sources of joy and mutual growth, or they may fall away entirely, making space for new, more aligned connections to enter your life. Trust in this process, my dear friends. Trust in the wisdom of your own being. For as you align yourself with the truth of who you are, a divine, infinite being, complete unto yourself, all things must rearrange themselves to match this inner knowing. And so as we come to the close of this discourse, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on what you've heard. Feel the truth of these words resonating within you. Know that the power to emotionally detach, to free yourself from all limiting attachments, is already within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. Go forth from this place with a renewed commitment to your emotional freedom. Practice these 5 rules diligently. Recognize the I am within. Live in the end. Assume the state of the wish fulfilled. Release all resistance and cultivate inner stillness. But above all, remember that you are already that which you seek to become. You are already detached, already free, already complete. Your task is simply to remove the veils of illusion that obscure this truth. In every moment, you have a choice. You can choose to identify with your attachments and dependencies, or you can choose to align with your true, free nature. Make this choice consciously, make it with love, and make it again and again, until it becomes your natural state of being. And know, my beloved friends, that as you walk this path of emotional detachment, you are not alone. The entire universe conspires to support you in your journey towards freedom. For in freeing yourself, you contribute to the freedom of all beings. May you go forth in peace, in love, and in the unshakable knowing of your own divine completeness. May you find the strength to detach from all that no longer serves you, and the courage to embrace the fullness of your true, liberated self. Remember, you are the creator of your reality. You are the author of your story. Write a story of freedom, of joy, of unconditional love. For that is your birthright, and it is within your power to claim it. Go now and be the embodiment of emotional freedom. Be the living proof that true love needs no attachment, that true strength comes from within, that true peace is your very nature. And as you do, know that you are fulfilling your highest purpose, for in freeing yourself, you light the way for others. In detaching from your own limitations, you help to liberate the world. This, my dear friends, is the ultimate gift of emotional detachment. It is not just a personal practice, but a service to all of humanity. For as you free yourself, you create a ripple effect that touches all those around you, inviting them to recognize their own inherent freedom. So go forth with courage, with faith, and with the unwavering conviction that emotional detachment is not just possible but inevitable. For it is the truth of your being waiting to be realized. May you be blessed on your journey. May you find the strength to persist in these practices. And may you come to know, beyond all doubt, the joy and peace that comes from true emotional freedom.